that time I just stood there and bled while I waited for my boss to acknowledge my existence. I just got a nosebleed for the first time in a while. And it reminded me of this story. I got them fairly often as a kid, but less so as an adult. One day, while I'm in the office, I get a pretty profuse nosebleed. I tried to just plug it up and keep going about my day. But this one was lasting. So I head over to my boss's desk to let her know I was gonna work the rest of the day from home and take care of my nose. She's currently talking with one of my coworkers. And normally I wouldn't interrupt. But given the circumstances, I came up and started with, "Excuse me, boss. Sorry to interrupt. Be you." Without looking up, she cuts me off and says, "You can clearly see I'm in a one-on-one. Please be polite and wait for me to finish." Alright, you got it. By this time, the tissue I was using to plug my nose was getting redder and redder. And by the time she finally looked up, it wasn't a pretty sight. She asked me why I didn't say something sooner. And I just repeated back to her what she had told me. She sheepishly said, "Obviously stuff like this would be an exception." Quote, I just shrugged and walked back to my desk to get my things. So your go-to was to assume I was being rude rather than so much as looking up or letting me finish my sentence? Great. Guess I know where I stand. If she would have acknowledged your presence when she first spoke to you with so much as a glance, she would have seen it was an exception. I used to be like that. I was taught to give my full attention to the people I'm speaking with, and other times the task at hand can seem so urgent that you can't fathom the fact that anything else takes precedence. I learned from my old boss that no matter how busy you are, you should take the 10 seconds to listen to what others have to say and then judge your priorities. Because it could be a real emergency. Your boss sounds like a major dick. Worst story, username combo. I've got a just as bad story. My sister broke her leg pretty badly, so after she came home someone always had to stay with her. Keep in mind she's 20 at this stage. 2 weeks in and she's had enough. Tells everyone she'll be fine and go do what needs to be done. A couple of hours in, mom calls her and starts talking about what she's done and what she needs to do before she'll be coming home. Finally she notices and asks, "Are you crying?" Quote, "I think I broke my arm." My sister had been quietly sobbing away waiting for mom to stop talking so she could tell her she'd broken her arm because she didn't want to be rude. Should have moved the tissue and started dripping blood onto her desk. Once they saw me, I would have just muttered, "You have 5 days," and pass out. Once she said that, I would have let it drip on the floor and smiled at her. I would have pulled out the tissue and bled all over the floor. Well, you have to actually look at me for it to be obvious, now don't you? I got a really bad nosebleed in elementary school, like 3rd grade or so, and didn't know what to do. The teacher let me go to the bathroom and I stood there for what felt like forever. Just holding tissue to my gushing nose. No pressure. Kids came and went. Teachers came and went. None acknowledging my presence in front of and bleeding into the sinks. I finally had to stop a teacher and beg for help. And that's how I learned to put pressure on a nosebleed to stop it. The teacher who'd let me go to the bathroom said nothing when I finally came back to class. How did your boss and the other person not even look over at you? Like that's just a basic thing where seeing or hearing something makes you look in that direction. At least she had the decency to be ashamed of herself. You should have sneezed on her. Sounds like someone who spends a lot of time around kids and just automatically corrects for casually interrupting behavior, which is still rude to carry over to conversations with adults, accidentally or not. It would have been polite for her to look at you while requesting that you be polite. The proper response would have been, "I understand that. But this is an emergency. I'm bleeding." That would have got her attention sooner. There's nothing wrong with being assertive when the situation warrants. I loved it! Exclamation mark, exclamation mark, exclamation mark. My son once got a nosebleed at school and then sneezed. They told me to come get him because he didn't have a clean shirt. I thought it was odd to send a kid home for a nosebleed until I saw him. He looked like a stabbing victim. I'm just imagining if you sneezed while waiting for the boss to acknowledge you. I love this sub. I love the people in it, and maybe I don't have all the context. But in situations like this, you, not op in particular, but rather the subject, probably need to make yourself heard a little more rather than sheepishly standing aside. I've been in plenty of situations where someone whose attention I need urgently is preoccupied and brushes me away, forcing me to change my tone and express the urgency of my situation over whatever they are doing. As much as it may be out of character, sometimes speaking up a bit more forcefully is necessary.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. Epic Ericast is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.